Welcome to the 30th anniversary of Chiang Mai University's Forest Restoration Research Unit. Since 1994, our unit has been performing research to restore indigenous tropical forest ecosystems to their former glory, to conserve wildlife, to protect watersheds, and to battle against climate change. How did we begin? FORRU-CMU's conception was enabled by the rise of environmentalism in Thailand in the 1980s, which grew out of protests against environmental catastrophes attributed to the logging industry. By the late 1970s, Thailand was losing its forests at up to 6% per year. It took a disaster to halt the devastation. On November 3, 1998, logs stacked up in the hills came crashing down with the flood waters, destroying nearly 30,000 homes and killing 529 people. In response to massive protests in Bangkok, the Chachai government banned logging of natural forests and ordered former logging concessions to be incorporated into Thailand's protected area system. Reforestation rapidly became a national cause célèbre. In 1993, the country united to celebrate the Golden Jubilee of King Bhumibol Adulyadej with a plan to restore 8,000 square kilometers of forest nationwide by planting a wide range of native tree species. Before the Golden Jubilee project, reforestation in Thailand meant single-species plantations of eucalyptus or acacia. Information on how to produce planting stock of the thousands of forestry species that are native to Thailand was almost non-existent, and no one knew which species to plant and how to plant them and take care of them in such a way to recreate the structure and biodiversity of original forest ecosystems. Consequently, many tree planting projects failed when the wrong tree species were planted in the wrong places without sufficient attention and budget allocated to aftercare, weeding, and fertilizer application. Meanwhile, Kate Hartwig and Stephen Elliott were asked by หม่อมราชวงศ์หญิง สมานสนิท สวัสดิวัฒน์ co-founder of the Thammanat Foundation, to assess the foundation's tree planting initiative to protect the upper Mae Valley watersheds in Chiang Mai. They found that most of the planted trees were either dying or in poor condition. A few days later, they met at the pub in Chiang Mai to draft a research plan aimed at applying scientific principles to improve forest restoration efforts. The acronym FORRU was conceived, and หม่อมราชวงศ์หญิง สมานสนิท created the unit's first logo, which she painted with chopsticks. She also set up a meeting between Steve and Mark Graham, who ran the corporate social responsibility program of Richmond Bangkok Limited. A few days later, Steve met with Richmond's CEO, Tasman Smith, and the company generously provided funding to construct a research tree nursery. Inspired by the Golden Jubilee Project, the chief of Doi Suthep National Park, Kun Amporn, provided land for the nursery in the park's headquarters compound. And Dr. Vilaiwan Anusan Sunthorn played a pivotal role in establishing the unit within the university. Horticultural expert David Blakely from Bath University helped out with nursery design and subsequent training for nursery staff. We recruited 2 officers and 2 assistants to run the nursery and begin the research program. The nursery opened for research on November 21, 1994, and the research began. With Ajahn Max, we compiled a database of the trees in each of the different forest types on Doi Suthep. We studied the flowering and fruiting behavior of trees along forest trails and collected seeds for germination trials. We set up experiments in the nursery to determine seed dormancy and germination rates, as well as seedling growth. To test species and silvicultural treatments, we partnered with the villagers of Ban Mae Samai to set up a field trial plot system. The villagers soon wanted to grow their own trees, so we funded a community nursery and hired locals to manage it. This allowed us to blend scientific best practices with community needs. As data from nursery experiments and field trials accumulated, we realized the project lacked a cohesive concept. Fortunately, Steve and Kate met Nigel Tucker at a Washington conference in June 1996, where he introduced us to the framework species method, which he had been trialing in Queensland, Australia. The idea was simple: select tree species from the reference forest that promote natural regeneration by suppressing weeds and attracting seed-dispersing wildlife. The success of this approach was obvious when Kate and Steve visited his trial plots later that year. Nigel even helped to train FORRU staff in Queensland in 1997. We returned to Thailand with a mission to identify the framework tree species for restoring Thailand's forest ecosystems. Finally, we had everything needed to work on improving forest restoration in Thailand: a supportive political climate, reference forest data and seed source, a purpose-built research nursery, field trials with community partnership, a conceptual basis for our work, and above all, good people. So, what did we achieve? Coming up next.